Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends. Get your gaming goodness every Saturday. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me on the couch today, Ciaran Marchant.
Hey, what's up? How you going? It's nice to be on the couch again. Comfy and warm.
Very good. You had a couple of weeks off. Ashley Hobley's also here.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here in video form again. Xsplit's working this week.
It is, yeah. Actually, I forgot that was a thing last week until you just said it. Yeah. I was like,
yeah, you also forgot during the episode, so
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
it was like a blessing in disguise because it just obviously recording without video is like so much easier. But because we just jumped on, so it was kind of like I couldn't be fucked, so it kind of worked out at the same time. But I mean, I wasn't making it up; it was a legit thing that happened. So I don't know if you know this, Ciaran, but if Xsplit's servers go down, you can't even record with Xsplit offline.
Well, yeah, because you have to log in to be able to get into Xsplit.
It's stupid.
That's well, because it's a digital license. It'd be the same as like, I don't think you can use like Adobe products if Creative Cloud can't connect to anything.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, like I've had my laptop offline and I can use all the things, you know what I mean? Like I don't...
All of the things.
There are a bunch of games that you can't play unless you're logged in online.
I know,
that's fine.
I'm like, I don't want to...
No, unless you home your console and then you're good.
I'm like, I'm not trying to stream. I'm just... Anyway, it's been ages on this again.
It's the way of the future.
Today on the show, we're talking about Pokemon in preparation for the game's release. Of course, is like a week away. And we're going to talk about the Outer Worlds again because even though I said last week that we probably won't talk about it for at least another week or more.
You said we wouldn't talk about it again until we finished it. And guess what?
Well, exactly.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Winning because I finished it, so we can talk about it again. I went from last episode like I haven't played that much. Ash is about to finish it, and then between that time, Ash has finished it. I've finished it. Ciaran hasn't finished it, but he's playing it, so we'll talk about that again. And we're going to break down BlizzCon 2019, of course, because I kind of not said last week and be like BlizzCon's on at the moment, and then we not talk about it. But the first thing I wanted to go over is this Fortress Melbourne thing, which we brought up like a month ago or whenever the original news story about it popped up, because they put up. I had no idea they were at PAX. So apparently they had a thing set up at PAX. I did not see it at all, but apparently they had like a little booth set up at PAX, and they were showing this video there. But they have since then uploaded the video to their Twitter, and it's like a, what would you call it? Like a, what would you call these
digital
types of videos?
walkthrough?
Yeah.
Virtual walkthrough.
So it's like a digital walkthrough of what they're planning. And if in case you forgot, Fortress Melbourne is going to be this esports
arena restaurant, gaming cafe mecca.
Yes. And we kind of covered it originally and was talking about what their plans were. But I definitely feel like watching this digital walkthrough of what their plans are, it's like, wow. It is impressive to say the least, I think, in my opinion. So you can check out the video, of course, will be in the show notes, or it's over at the Fortress Twitter account, which is at Fortress Oz is the official Twitter account for them. And the walkthrough goes through and it shows you the entrance, and it's like, let's go downstairs, and it's like, we've got this massive stadium set up for all the esports tournaments we're gonna have on, and then it goes through and it's like, here's the training areas, here's the LAN area, here's the literally everything. We kind of it's got everything. I feel like
you must be pretty happy because it's like all the decoration is League of Legends decoration.
Well, yeah, they've got V at the Vi, however you want to say it,
at the front, and then there's a couple other characters. I did see Sylvanas, so that's WoW. But like they have Pantheon's shield up on the walls and stuff. Like, and
the games they're showing people playing is League of Legends in the video as well. So
obviously it knows its biggest audience. You would think
it's going to be League of Legends. And
I think honestly, like the thing that shows foresight is having these setups, like the area for training boot camps and for like team review stuff for esports teams. I think that's a really smart thing to have in places like that. So Yeah, do more shit like this. It's pretty.
Well,
it's pretty great.
I wanted to get your 2 cents more because I remember the first time we talked about it, I'm like, this thing's going to be massive. This thing's going to be huge. And you were like, meh, we'll see.
Well,
It's not super impressive. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's actually going to be that cool.
I'm just skeptical.
Are you more happy now that you see like a video walkthrough like of what the plans are?
I think I like the design. I like the layout. I'd like to see the transition from virtual walkthrough to real, like stuff like, are they really going to have like the life-size statue of League of Legends characters everywhere?
I don't think all of that is.
It looked really good in theory, but it's like, getting catfished by a esports arena. Like,
I think taking the statues and what's on the wall, which is just placeholder type stuff, I would presume.
If it's finished that well, like if it's finished well enough, it looks nice. They have a very nice arena to actually not just play games in, but to sit and watch and view things happening. I think I'm a bit more optimistic than I was. Like, I think it's still got a little bit to prove, and these places you don't know how well it's going to go until they're open. So, good luck to them, because we need more things like this in Australia to really push for Australia's esports scene to continue to grow.
Yeah. I really think I think it's going to work quite well, because it's like hitting all marks. It's like, if you're trying to be the next best League of Legends team or Overwatch team or whatever, come here and literally train with your team under one house, not at home at separate PCs over Discord chat. Like, come all train together. Then we're gonna have tournaments on. We've got a proper tournament stage setting. So then they're gonna have people come in for that. We've got the bar setting. We've got the console area setting. We've got a LAN area. Like, I feel like it's hitting literally everything that you could possibly hit for this sort of thing. Ash, watching the video, what are your thoughts of the plan for this thing? I mean,
it looks like the pictures, but moving.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah. It looks cool. If they can actually pull it off, obviously it looks like it'll be a difficult thing to put together.
They said they're opening. Supposed to be opening in a couple months. February, yeah.
In February, yeah. Yeah, well, they had like obviously we were in Melbourne for PAX. We went near the Emporium where it's based, and they had like all the hoarding up and all the advertising. So, and it looks like it's like a pretty big space, which it would need.
It would have to be. It's fucking massive.
Yeah, so it looks like a couple of stories. So, if it is good, then I suspect that's where we'll end up PAX next year.
Possibly.
Hell yeah, we will.
Might end up there in February.
Every other person going to PAX.
Me, number one content creator in Australia, is going to get an opening night invite for sure in February.
Yeah. Have they got good bathroom lighting, though? That's the important thing.
That is an important thing for...
that's going to be, like, esports. Whether it makes money or not,
Yeah, I want to give that a shout out. We went to GGE's, right? When was that, PAX this year? Never been there before. And, of course, all I know is that all the girls take the mirror selfie, like, group photos there. I went into the boys' toilet. Shit house. Doesn't have anywhere near as good lighting. I was like, I'll take a selfie in here for the memes. Shit lighting. Absolutely fucking terrible. It's disgraceful. That's my 2 cents on that. All I see is these photos.
Sexism.
I walk into
Sexism is rife.
I walk into the male toilets. I'm like, it's like the opening of the Fat Pizza movie where he walks in. There's like a dude like sticking a needle in his arm in the corner.
Fucking hell. Oh, that's a place we're not getting a sponsorship for.
It's all jokes. It's fine. The Fortress Melbourne thing looked cool. I'm excited to keep our eye on that progressing, and I think it's going to obviously be a really cool place where it opens in February. Hopefully.
I appreciate that you're the hype man on this one. Like, you would think I would be the hype man on this one.
I stick my fingers in everything that's. I like to think I stick my fingers in everything that's relevant. Don't know why you're pulling that face. Look, wording, No, but it's cool. It's just a cool thing. I'm excited. I think it looks cool.
Yep, really pushing for that day one invite.
He wants a Viva La Deal streaming booth, like a sponsored streaming booth. It's just
I'm in the wrong sort of part of this industry to get a Viva La Deal streaming booth, I think. All right, moving on. It's got some Pokemon, a couple Pokemon stories to go over here because there really wasn't that much news this week, really, of interest. So firstly, there was a new Pokemon Sword and Shield trailer that dropped, and it's basically supplements video, is what I would call it, because it's just going over the nitty gritty, how you're going to be able to get hardcore Pokemons and their IVs and their they're fucking, I'm mental blanking what the word's called. They're whatever. They're natives. They're whatever it's called. Someone's gonna be at home like screaming. Whatever. I don't care at this stage. But yeah, so it shows all the new supplements that you're gonna be able to use, like bring up your special defense and special attack on your Pokemon, and it also shows that you're gonna be able to get new exclusive moves called egg moves out of your egged Pokemon now. And then at the end, it also shows that the candies have changed. These ones are coming over from basically the Let's Go candies, or basically the same or sort of the same from what you had in Let's Go, which is that instead of just giving a rare candy and it just automatically like levels up your Pokemon one level, you got different kinds of things, which is called experience candy now. And then it like gives you experience, which means obviously if you give it to a level 1 Pokemon, it's going to go like ding, 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 like really, really fast, or like give it to a level 90 and it might not even be enough to fully level up.
So what you're saying is Pokemon, people are going to be stood there like cramming candies into their Pokemon, just like, like a slot machine, like a Pez dispenser. Yeah,
basically that's what I did in Let's Go. I was like, I need this Persian to level up fast so I can start earning money in this game because of its ability, because of its special ability. So I was like jamming it full of XP candy and stuff, and it's just like, eat it, ding ding ding, eat it, ding ding ding. Eat it. Ding ding. It's like was it Wreck-It Ralph? Kitty. Well, you know that's isn't that yeah. Kitty. I was doing that for my Persian. Kitty. And then the kitty's like, I can't. Kitty. One more experience candy.
That was pancake, wasn't it?
Oh, pancakes, was it? Yeah. Yeah, pancake. For whatever it was, I can't even remember now. But yeah, I found it. I always thought it was just kind of weird that they put this out at the last second, like one of the last trailers. They're like, "Hey, have a stats video for that."
Yeah, want to get hyped? Yeah, the game's only out in a week.
have a fucking stats video. Yeah, for the hardcore, I suppose, or whatever it is. But I liked what they showed there. But then the more important news.
Wait, I just want to say I really like that they've introduced mints in this game as one of the supplement items, because if you're going to be eating a lot of curry, you should really be having some mints.
That's true. That's very, very true. The game is hardcore curry simulator. Yeah. Everyone's I like how barely anyone remembers this thing, that the curry thing was announced. And the only person I know who constantly brings it up, Zash. Every single time. He's like, me?
He's a big curry fan.
That's all I care about. Curry simulator.
He walks into the curry district of Brisbane.
Got to find a niche.
All the chefs and everything go silent, and they all look at him as he strolls over with his wooden spoon.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing.
The Pokemon has basically all of the Pokemon, or the Pokedex for Sword and Shield is leaked online, basically, from what I can gather. I have not looked at it, and I wanted to get...
So let's go through all 900 Pokemon and talk about which ones are in the game and which ones are not in the game.
No, if you're listening and you're afraid of spoilers, we're not going to actually... I haven't looked at them.
Number one.
Charizard in the game.
Is it?
We're not starting with... Why are we starting with Charizard?
It is on the thing.
Bulbasaur is the start. Is the first one. We start with Bulbasaur.
Pikachu in the game.
Yeah, that was in a trailer. I mean, so that's... confirmed. No, I wanted to get everyone's opinions on this because
Farfetch'd in the game.
Oh my god, shut up! I'm not looking at the leaks because I do actually want to just jump into the game and like discover the Pokemon.
You're not looking at the leaks because you don't want to Surfetched?
Oh my fucking god! No, I know he's in the game. That's not a leak. It's in the game. It's confirmed.
Because he's got a leak.
Anyway, how's everyone feel about Outer Wilds? No, fuck yous.
Outer Wilds?
I'm not playing. I'm not looking at the leaks because I don't want the Pokemon spoiled. Like I do want, for myself, I would rather keep that secret simply because that's like part of the fun for the games to me. Because that reminds me of my childhood. You know, like, I walk through. What the fuck's this thing? Oh, this is a whatever. Like, you know, like all the games when I was a kid, I didn't have spoiled. I discovered them as I was playing them because
you play Pokemon as it was designed. you get your starter Pokemon, and you train him up to smush every other Pokemon in the world.
Yeah, and I just
him
go-
or her. You just make that one really, and then the rest of your team is just a bunch of HM slaves. There's one to fly your places, one to surf your places, maybe the other one like cuts and chops as well, you know?
I think they've got rid of that HM still. But
Oh, really? That makes me sad. That shows how long it's been since I played a Pokemon.
But I've seen some people on my Twitter, like they were sharing and or like people I follow were like liking the leaks, like people posting the leaks. And of course, then because they're liking them, they're showing up on my Twitter. And I would like see the image or the text, and like I would purposely not pay attention to it. So I'd see like outlines of creatures, but I was able to control myself enough to not like focus in on the image. So I wouldn't actually pay attention to them. And then I'd like click on the thing, and I would click block. And I was just blocking any accounts that I saw that were posting this because I'm like, I don't want to spoil this showing up. But yeah,
Dylan,
I was going to say, how do you
close your ears for a second?
how do you-
I have a question for Ashley. Why has coughing become like a commentary on industrial London in the Victorian age? You know, it looks like he's got like the big. Is it coughing now that has like it looks like a top hat, but it's not a top hat,
It's a
or is that an
coughing.
evolution?
Wheezing, isn't it?
It's
Is it- or is it
yes.
wheezing?
It's wheezing.
Wheezing.
Wait, Dylan knows.
Galarian
Holy crap,
wheezing.
Dylan. That's it.
They
I
released-
mean, the new ones that they've shown in trailers, Dylan knows.
I know the ones that
Because he
they've
doesn't
shown in
avoid all
trailers.
trailers.
Yes.
Anything
that's
He
been
would
mentioned-
have if he didn't have to do the show, but
Yeah. Anything that's in trailers not a spoiler, but I was going to say, like, is it silly to be afraid of spoilers for a Pokemon game? Because I know some people like,
yes.
okay.
No, I don't think so. I think if you want a, a true experience of what you find, like I don't think anybody's ever going to have the same experience as the first time you ever picked
The
up.
first generation, yeah.
Yeah, like the first generation. I don't think anybody's going to have that experience ever again. So
I'd say second generation was the most actual discovery because I knew from the animated show before I jumped into the game for the first time.
But with the first generation, you still had to kind of you had a basis of information for the second generation that you could look at a Pokemon and be like, okay, you look like a grass type and you've got some fighting in you, maybe. Or whereas in the first gen, you were like, wow, this guy looks cool. I got to find out what the hell he does.
I guess kind of, but I always number one Pokemon.
Man,
I think,
this Clefairy Pokemon looks like it's going to be really powerful.
It's gonna be really
the number one
tough.
Pokemon I think of when I think, what the fuck, like that was such a weird thing I never had, and I never had it spoiled, obviously, was playing Silver, and I got to the milk farm, and the first time I bumped into a milk tank, and I was just like, it's a goddamn cow. It's just a cow standing on its legs. It's weird.
I remember one of the gyms. There was a gym leader in Gold and Silver that had a milk tank that spent a good part of a month destroying me. Like that thing was hard.
You were getting milked. You were getting whipped.
I was getting milked. Creamed, you might say.
Yeah, he was getting creamed.
Do you think going back on track a little bit with this story, do you think these changes they're making, adding the mints, adding the stat buffs, do you think this continues to push Pokemon towards more of a competitive format in some way? Because I think there's always been that competitive element to Pokemon where, they'd have tournaments where people would bring their DSs and whatever. But now that esports is such a big thing in the world, do you think Pokemon has a place in the esports scene to kind of grow and to become something more fulfilled now?
Pokemon's had been having tournaments for ages.
Yes, they
but
have.
they're always
Yeah.
Nintendo run, and I think that's how they'll be forever. They're never going to be these massive Rod Raver or whatever arena type.
Rod Laver,
whatever. The first arena that came
Rod
out.
Laver.
They're never going to be this massive fucking LeBron James arena, whatever, type things that League of Legends and Overwatch are. It's just not. It's not the same same fan base and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of times, whenever I've clicked on seen who's winning these tournaments, like people write up news stories about whatever, and I click on them. And it's like the finals are 12-year-old kids playing one another. You know what I mean? And their mums are sitting in the audience like, go team, compared to like
But
Overwatch
isn't
and
this-
League.
I don't know,
fans.
it
No,
just
they're
seems
like
to
the
be-
tiger parents making sure that kids click in as fast as they can.
Yeah.
There's more avenues though for you to min-max your Pokemon the best way now. I know in the past Pokemon has been a lot about grinding and hopefully you getting a Pokemon with the right amount of stats, and if it doesn't, you just keep trying to catch it until you get
Well, yeah.
the randomized set of stats that
Gotta
you're
get the
looking
perfect
for.
IVs.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think there is potential for it though.
Yeah, it's something I'll probably never get into because I just don't. It's something that annoys me about Pokemon Go in general, is but just because, and it's the reason I never really care to get involved with my local hardcore player fan base, of which my friend Sam's like involved in, is because anytime I'm there somewhere doing like a massive raid or something or talking, there was like, oh man, I caught the thing the other day, but like it only had like 99% IVs and I fucking threw it away because it wasn't like perfect and all this stuff. I just like start rolling my eyes. I'm like, I just like catching the cuties. I'm like, just let me catch the things and have fun with it. Oh no, I can't get into it. Pokemon is definitely, I understand why some people get into it and whatever else, but it's like when it comes to Pokemon, and it's like, look at like the new sheep Pokemon and I'm like, oh, that's cute. Is it gonna be like competitive? No, I don't care. It looks cool. Will Yamper be competitive? I don't know, but it's a fucking corgi. I want it. You know, like that's my level of Pokemon. Like I understand that some people, obviously what they showed here, the supplements and stuff, but when I play the game, I'll be like, if I get them and I'll buy them and I'll just chuck them on a Pokemon that I like to make their stats better or whatever else. But yeah, like people get hardcore into the Pokemon, like trying to get perfect IVs and whatever else. I'm like, more power to you, but I don't really care for the competitive scene when it comes to Pokemon.
It's a role-playing game.
Yeah, like the game is just me. Like I'll play online. But I suppose the more competitive side that will come in is like if they start adding in heaps of the raids. And apparently the raids are going to be quite hard in the game, and you're going to actually have to, you know, make sure that everyone's doing their job properly, that with your 3 friends that you're doing it with or whatever. And it's like then maybe this stuff becomes more important to people who don't really care about the competitive side before, because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I actually want to get a good IV Pokemon and like use the supplements and whatever else to like level up their stats, so I have a good Pokemon to bring into the raid. But that's more of like paying attention to it now from a co-op versus, you know, like a PvE thing, whereas I don't really care about PvP in Pokemon because I'm like, who the fuck am I playing? I don't care. Like, jump online, play random people. Don't care. Don't want to do it. It's not fun to me. PvE though, raids in this game, that has me excited because that's what I'm down for. So then all of a sudden, I guess I care a little bit more about IVs, tiny bit. The same way I do in Pokemon Go, where I'm like, I suppose I'll bring in my good Gengar to the raid, not the shit one. But whatever. I don't know. I found the leaks funny though, or interesting. So Nintendo Life had this story up that says the recent leak of information relating to Pokemon Sword and Shield certainly wasn't part of Nintendo's grand scheme of promoting the game. But if a recent rumor is to be believed, the company has tracked down the individual responsible. The report comes from Twitter user KG Prestige, who claims that Nintendo employees have tracked down the leaker because of the profile picture they used on a Discord chat. This profile image was also used on the individual's YouTube channel, which allowed Nintendo to then reach the person's Facebook account, which was linked to the YouTube channel. As well, as we all know, Facebook is big on people using their real word names, and this is apparently how Nintendo bagged the culprit. And then they say, is this story true? Well, it certainly sounds possible, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say it's true. This sounds like some dumb ass shit that someone would do. And it's one of those things where I have to wonder like how the person like got a copy of the game and then they leaked it and whatever else. I always find it, the other thing I also find interesting is these days, whenever like there was those Borderlands leaks and that dude like had 2K people come to his door and all that sort of stuff, they're always posting it in Discords. They're not posting on like Reddit or something like that.
Discord's the new place, man.
Yeah, it's like they're always posting in Discord.
I think what happened was he posted on NeoGAF or something anonymously. But in the pictures, it had his Discord like username or whatever up showing, and then they tracked him back from that.
Why does it have his Discord name showing in the pictures?
I don't know. He must have had it like in the background, and he's
like, credit me,
I don't know.
Discord username. Why would you do that? That's stupid.
No, he didn't act. It was an accident. Obviously, he didn't intend to have it.
Well, you know, Nintendo have a crack team of Officer Jennies looking out for them. So
I would hope so.
Yep.
I just find it kind of shit.
Believe it or not, one of the new Pokemon is a computer hacker. So
checking out spoilers.
very lucky.
into what we've been playing. The first thing I want to talk about is this factoid. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it's in the bin. And by the bin, I mean I'm getting rid of it. I'm trading it in. And I thought I'd better go over this because obviously I played Black Ops 3 for a shit ton last year. And I think a lot of that obviously boils down to that game's Black Ops 4, sorry. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it was the 4 stupid lines.
Yes. Yeah. The 4 stupid lines, yeah. Yeah, they did the Roman numerals wrong. That game had Blackout, their Battle Royale mode, which is basically what I spent all that time in. I found out the other day Call of Duty has a stats website, and I looked it up, and apparently I'd played that game for like nearly around 100 hours or something spent in Blackout alone or some shit. So
that's pretty impressive. Dude.
I was like, holy fucking shit. Like ridiculous amount of games of Blackout. But also on top of that, I spent some, not as much time, but I spent some time in all of the modes. And I gotta say straight away, I think the maps in Black Ops 4, like the team deathmatch maps and all that, those sort of associated modes, were better than the ones that are in Modern Warfare.
I had this problem with the beta, which is what led me to not even consider picking it up, was that the normal map ranges didn't seem to have any variety to them. Like, normally in a COD game, you would have maps where you're like, this map's like a really good sniping map, or this map's a really good close quarters fighting map. This one's a mid-range map. This one, there's more variety. This one just seems like a lot of tight spaces, and the maps in general just felt really small. Like, there was no width to the map. There was just length. And everybody would just run into each other in the middle, and it was... Well, it didn't have that.
If that's not happening, it's everyone's just camping or hiding in a corner in a room, and then they wait for someone to walk in and they kill them. And there's no way around it because they changed the way the map works. So it doesn't blink randomly and give you a sign of where anyone is anymore, unless you have like activated UAV or something like that. Because the first like week or so of playing it, I was like, like I'm not sure if I like it, dislike it. The one thing I will say that's really good, the good mode is the 2v2 gunfight mode. But that's not enough to carry it, the whole thing. And that mode is one of a person of it, it's 2v2, and you'll jump in, and it's literally the first person to get a kill. And the maps are very short, they're very tight areas, and you kind of run in, and you automatically just got to be communicating. I don't know how you could play this game without talking.
Does it randomize the guns as well?
Yeah, it randomizes the guns. So you'll be like, okay, so I've got a machine gun and a sniper, or I've got a shotgun and a pistol, I've got this, and obviously then it changes the way you have to like tackle the maps. That mode is good. It's not enough to carry the game or make you want to play it for a long period of time. But the reason I went down is like, I got sick of Team Deathmatch. I'm not a big Team Deathmatch fan in general, but like Call of Duty, I expect Team Deathmatch to kind of be hectic and fast-paced and not be running around and being like, where is the person? Like, this is boring because like people are just camping and it's fucking driving me insane.
Did you get to play much of the, I don't know, was it called Ground War?
Sorry. Yeah,
did you play much of Ground War?
I'm going to tie this in. So Ground War, when I played in the beta, I was like, okay, so they've done like a mini battlefield conquest mode where it's got a bunch of objectives, but the maps are a lot smaller, but they're still big for Call of Duty maps. And I remember playing it in the beta and being like, this is very hectic, but I'm hoping it'll be fun when it fully releases.
It just seemed like they hadn't learnt any of the lessons that Battlefield has ever learnt. Like, I just remember there being periods of time where there would be two people camping on a mountainside. I would kill one of the people, and then before I've managed to make any more distance, that same person is respawned back onto the... And it's just a continuous and limited cycle of just fighting.
Basically what happens is, on nearly every map, you'll get a bunch of snipers. I'm not even joking, like nearly like 5 snipers up on a hill, and then a tank will park next to them, and then that's what all they do. They sit there sniping and a tank just blasting, and if you get like fucked at the spore zone, like then that's all that happens. And then you kill one of them, and it doesn't matter because then they just respawn on their friend like when they come back in. Yeah, so that mode, which I had kind of semi-hope for as like a faster paced take on Battlefield, I was like, this is shit as well, and I don't really like this. The one mode I was enjoying for a while was Cyber Attack, which is you got to take a bomb to an objective or defend your objective, but like if you get downed, you don't respawn, but people can heal you back up, and it's 8v8. So that had like that was pretty fun, but once again, it's like the maps aren't very good, and it's like I would say like 3 out of the 8 or so maps or whatever, every time we'll chop, I'd be like, ugh, like, not, can we just go to the next game? And then, like, that doesn't become fun when you're just like hating.
Yeah,
I can understand if there's one map and you're like, ugh. But when it's like, the second it gets to like 2 or 3 maps, it's like, ugh, this is just suddenly nearly half the maps are just boring to tears. But so this is what leads me to this. I reinstalled Battlefield 5 because I'm like, the other week they announced like, oh, Gear 2 content. Like EA had the story coming out saying they're not going to do a Battlefield game for next year because they're just going to focus on content for 5 and they're going to skip it. And they'll probably have one coming out in like 2021. So they're skipping it and focusing it. And they've repackaged a version now. It's like, go buy the Year 2 version. It's on the PlayStation Store and all this sort of stuff. And it comes with, you know, boosts and skins and whatever, all this garbage, right? But all the DLC updates for Battlefield 5 are free. That was one of the things they announced when they revealed the game. It doesn't have paid DLC. It has paid costumes and all this sort of shit, of course, like games do these days. But all the extra maps and stuff are free. So you can jump in and you can be up to date and you can play with your friends and it's good to go. I jumped back into that the other night and played a few rounds. And yes, I'm going to say this. Battlefield 5, I was having more fun playing than Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And I can say I'm a little bit biased because I'm definitely more of a Battlefield player than a Call of Duty player because I like objective-based stuff more than just run around and shoot people. But I jumped straight into that. I'm playing like Conquest and shit and the rush mode, operation, I can't remember. The one that it takes like 3 days, it goes through operations thing. These are all good. And I think the big difference that, and the reason that Call of Duty failed at like ripping off Battlefield in their shitty mode was that everything has an answer. Everything you're doing makes you feel like you're achieving something, and you're rewarded so much for playing the objective. You're if you're not playing the objective, you're just going to be running around and doing squat. So it's like literally the little things, like you're literally firing off in the distance at someone. It's like giving you points for like suppression fire and all these sorts of things. Like it's always like telling you you're doing good. There's a tank over there. Okay, well there's way more answers for that with classes that have C4 or rocket launchers and all this sort of thing. Mines, like there's so many ways to get around it. Also, the maps are designed way better. So there's not a tank randomly up here with fucking snipers that are just destroying you. It's like the maps. All I was going to say is I reinstalled Battlefield 5. I was having way more fun with that. I'm going to get rid of Modern Warfare because I'm done with it. I'm not going to play that anymore. If I want to play some shooting, I'm going to be playing Battlefield.
Did you play the campaign through?
I played the campaign. The campaign was fine, in my opinion.
It's just that's the thing that it seemed like this year the campaign was going to be such a bigger part of that game, and I feel like I've heard less people talking about it. And that just might be people who are around me that I listen to, but I've just not heard many people talk about it.
The campaign is super impressive from a visual and sound and whatever those points of view. Like the game looks amazing is one thing. Like from the second you start that game up, it looks like next gen nearly, kind of like how good and detailed.
Like you're playing on a PC. Yeah.
It would look a lot better on a PC if you have a PC and then you have like if I had the ability, if I had a 2080 or something like that for RTX, I can't even imagine how much better that game would look with ray tracing on and these sorts of things, because it already looked fucking amazing on my on my Pro. So it looks good. The way it floats, like there's no load screens. You go from one level to another level. It literally never loads. It'll just you'll finish level cutscene. It transitions out of cutscene you're playing, and that's it. So it takes about 4 to 5 hours to play the campaign probably, and it means that you can literally sit down and just play it start to finish without seeing a load screen ever, which is impressive because it makes it feel like a movie.
A movie.
It's a lot more realistic. There's no like massive missions of craziness happening and whatever else. Like one of the missions is literally just one of the cooler missions is literally just going for a house, like doing a bust, like going door by door, and it's very tense and whatever else. But I found the story, as I find with all Call of Duty games, the story was like meh, very lackluster. Has a lot of weird things like changing history and accusing Russia of stuff that America did, which I find quite off-putting and odd when you put it all into context of the story. The characters are the cool part. Like the characters are voice acted and acted well. Like the Price, I don't know, all these Modern Warfare characters. Yeah, all these characters that yeah, I've never played a Modern Warfare game before. Before this one.
Really? You never played COD 4?
I never played any of the Modern Warfare games.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I never played Black Ops.
No, but that's weird.
Or World at War.
Like Call of Duty's 4 campaign was so good.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I was a Battlefield person when I was. The games I would play with my friends was Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, like.
Because you're a PC nerd.
Yeah, I guess technically.
Yeah, it's very much the case. And it's very much the case that you find if somebody was playing with a group of friends that are on PC, largely you would be Battlefield people.
Remember I did a midnight launch at my local guff for Battlefield 4 or 3.
Yeah.
4, whatever it was. And it was like 24 people all just playing together. So, and that was fun. That was a great old time. So yeah, I was always been more on Battlefield. But I just want to point out, because obviously I spent all last year being like, Black Ops 4's great, Blackout's amazing, blah, 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 blah. And I gotta say, Modern Warfare was a disappointment when it came to its multiplayer package. I expected it to last long. I expected it to be good. I knew it was going to have Blackout, but I expected the modes to carry me longer. And I just feel like it's very lackluster and slightly disappointing. And now I'm just like looking to older games and getting rid of it and being like, okay, just wish
you may as well go back to Black Ops 4 and just go play Blackout
yeah, just
again.
reinstall fucking go buy Blackout, Black Ops 4 and play Blackout again or something like that. But if you're, that's my FPS update. Now, into the Outer Worlds. Let's start with you, Ash, since you had to sit there quietly and listen to our first-person shooter, not Mombo Jumbo. Outer Worlds, you finished it. I've finished it. Ciaran's at some point in it. But let's get your thoughts first. How would you say ending, anything that you like, dislike, or what? Like, obviously without spoilers, but like, how are you feeling about the game that you finished it?
I felt like the ending was kind of anticlimactic. You build up to this thing, and depending on the build of your character, it can be pretty simple to get through. And then they do a thing which I guess it was the only way they could end the game with all the story points that they wanted to reveal at the end, but it was kind of like, oh, really? That's what they're going to do? But I enjoyed my time overall. It's probably one in at least my top 5 games this year. So I'm probably going to go back and I skipped a couple of side missions to sort of get towards the end of the game. And I'd want to fill in the gaps a bit more, like fill in a bit more of the other side characters.
Yeah. Ciaran, how far are you? Would you say?
I wouldn't say that far. Maybe a quarter or a third of the way through. When talking with Ashley, I definitely sound like I'm taking my time with this game and I'm exploring a lot more and maybe doing a lot more of the side quests and enjoying the overall game. I really love it though. It's like it is exactly what I love about Fallout, better in a more interesting environment. Like I think we've been in the nuclear wasteland far too many times now for Fallout to be interesting right now, where Outer Wilds has such vibrance to it. It has a range of different enemies and it lets me play the game how I like to play it. I play D&D, and this is akin to D&D in many ways of giving you options of how to complete games. Like I'm always worried, and it's what I hope that Cyberpunk takes lessons from this, but just does it better on an even bigger scale. That just the range of different options you have to complete it, and as Ashley implied, like that missions can feel anticlimactic or easy based on the build that you go. If you go a very high charisma build or a hacking build or something that incorporates those, you can often find pretty easy ways to get through missions that don't involve shooting. And it's one of those games that I can tell I really enjoy a game when I'm already thinking about what I want to do on another playthrough of this game. That like I'm playing like this game. Next game I want to play through as like a corporate douchebag that is making all the bad choices for the corporations and not sticking it to the man. And then I'd love to try and play the game without shooting a gun once. Like, I'd love to be able to try and play the game without actually killing anything. You're doing a pacifist run.
I don't know if it's possible, but
I don't know if that's possible.
I think
you might be able to get close, but you definitely would have to.
I don't know. I think
maybe not people.
Because I think a lot of the objectives are just you could stealth through the game. I think fairly easily.
There's some stuff that involves.
There'd be objectives you couldn't do.
Yeah.
There would definitely be objectives you just flat out couldn't do, but I'd like to try it and find a way. And as we've talked about, like that game definitely screams you could finish this in like half an hour or in a couple hours if you just kind of powered through and did like the bits. So it's it's an interesting game, and I really enjoy the story, and I'm enjoying the characters in it.
Yeah. So I think roughly it took me about 20 hours, I think, somewhere around there to beat it. And I did all the... my objective thing was clear. When I went to the final mission, which it does tell you, like, this is the... like going in for the final mission here kind of thing. So I made sure before I did that, I was like, I'm gonna clear out all these side missions and all this sort of stuff. And I had nothing there. I know I definitely did all the companion quests because I got the achievement for that. So it's not like I missed any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I definitely feel like you could beat the game in just a couple hours if you wanted to. Do it very fast. But I feel like it would just be very boring. to be honest, like the main plot itself about like kind of going out and trying to take down the corporation and all this sort of stuff and working with the crazy scientists, it's fine, but it's not like super impressive and enthralling. The super interesting missions of the game are all side quest stuff or the missions you do with your companions. Or in particular, like, well, not all of them. A couple of them are very like, whatever, like short. But like the two main companions I had throughout the game, what's
Havadi and Nyoka?
Nico. What? Some variation of that.
Nyoka.
Yeah.
I think.
So they're the two I had, and both of their companion quests are like super interesting, and tell you a lot about them as characters, and they were great, and that's kind of the reason I like playing the game so much. And then even some of the random side quest stuff, like on one of the planets, there's this thing where you go like kind of you can basically either. Like, it's one of those things where it's like there's two sides working against one another, and it seems like you can kill one off and then like put one in charge, or vice versa. Or the way I did it is I managed to like get it so they both were willing to work with each other at the end, and they were like on even-ish grounds and terms, but definitely like that was super interesting because I'm like, well, this person, blah, blah, blah. Like the game kind of introduces that at the start with the first planet where it's like, well, who do you want to put in charge of this town? Basically, like all of that stuff was interesting, but the main campaign stuff was like if that's all the game was, it would be like, I guess
okay
like
game.
It's okay.
It would be okay.
I wouldn't be super impressed.
I also think the main game campaign stuff was like front heavy. Like there was a lot of... It was as you go towards the end, it's sort of like you could like power through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of similar-ish missions.
Well, it becomes a lot quicker to get around once you've been to all the planets, and you can literally be like, oh, you got to go see this person, fly to planet, get off, land at a landing pad that you've unlocked that's a lot closer, fast travel to there, speak to them, travel back to your thing, off you go. Whereas at the start, it's like you're doing a lot more.
Even just with things like because loot in the world and enemies in the world don't respawn. Once you've walked somewhere once, there's little to no reason to do the walking, and you may as well just fast travel everywhere.
Well, there are like some enemies come back, but like certain like big,
like if like main buildings that you've cleared the building out and stuff. That's just
that reminds me. Another thing I liked about this that Fallout does that I'd never like is the like keeping a level, like bringing the enemies levels up with you, kind of whatever the wording for that is, I can't remember. But like this one, scaling the enemies and stuff. So this one, when I went back to the first planet, I was literally just walking around with a pistol, like you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. I like that. I like when you can return to early parts of the game in RPGs and you feel powerful. I don't like it when I returned. I'm like, everything's hard to kill still. Why?
I like when games are rewarding in the things that you've decided to dedicate points to in your skill tree actually make you feel really good. Like having a really high lockpick skill is awesome. I am so happy that there is no mini game for lockpicking or hacking in this freaking game. Because it's like, even just stuff like, if you're high enough or if your lockpicking skill is high enough, you won't use a consumable to pick the door.
No.
Like, that's so good. Like, it's just like those little quality of life where you're like, this makes me feel really good about the self. This makes me want to continue to put points into that skill and makes me feel rewarded. The only thing that disappoints me is I think the perks are pointless. The perks are really boring and just kind of mundane.
A lot
overall,
of them are boring.
Yeah.
Where I think there was opportunity for those to be a lot better. But other than that, I really like the game.
That's probably the one area where Fallout has them.
Yeah.
The perks in Fallout make it a bit more
For,
interesting. but
Fallout 4's
Even-
perk stuff was a lot more interesting than this game.
Even the like the negative perks, I get them flash up every now and then. Like you get like a phobia.
Yeah, it's like
or
you've been
whatever, or
burnt so
fear.
many times, so now do you want to? You can accept a perk that's like you'll take permanently 25% more burn damage, and you'll get 1 skill point out of it.
Which I think I've
no,
so
thank you.
far I've
took
happened
3.
that, like had that.
Really?
You took 3, really? I have happened that like 3 or 4 times, but I've never felt that the payoff was enough
because
to
none of the perks
value
are good
what I
enough for
was
you to go,
losing.
I'm going to take this.
Yeah, there was nothing
disadvantage
where I
for
was
this
like, "Damn, I really need this perk right now." Fuck, I guess
Some popped up, and I was like, "Nah, that seems like I don't want to take that. The risk reward of that doesn't add up." But then, yeah, some popping up and be like, "You'll take 25% more shock damage." I'm like, "Shock isn't that common." Nah, I'll take a skill point. Chuck it on something, whatever, you know.
And then a bunch of shock troopers popped out.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. I took one for the bug thing, like right when I was reaching the end of the planet that had like the most bug creature things on it, and like right at the end, it's like you've been in fights with these creatures so much. You want to take a thing that's like they'll do 25% more damage to you, and you'll get a skill point. I'm like, well, I'm about to leave this fucking planet, so yeah, sure. like I don't care. I'm off. See you later. But no. Overall, I'd say it's definitely one of my. I don't know where it would place on my shortlist, but it's currently I'd say it's one of the better things I've played this year, simply because it was just. I think the thing that's so impressive about it, and it's kind of sad to say, is it's like it just works.
it's a gaming experience that seems
there's no bugs.
there's no minimal to no bugs. It seems like
it's a bit slow, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think
load times
I think
are a bit
it's
bad,
still
well.
I'll
put asterisk.
I've
on
not
that.
had any problems with load times.
I don't think
PC.
me and Ciaran would be having.
Probably not.
I've had no.
This is me on my base PS4, but I mean,
I've
I'm
had
fine
no
with the
issues
load
with
times.
load times.
I'll just check Twitter or something while it loads.
Because
so.
I saw someone on Twitter say that, like, oh man, I love the Outer Worlds, but the load times are so long. I'm spending like ages and menus between doors. I'm like, I'm spending like 1 second.
Yeah, I'm like flying between planets is so easy.
Yeah, I literally jump around. I'm like, fly out, fast travel, takes 1 second to load, I'm out. And I'm like, I was thinking about it because I saw that tweet. I'm like, is this simply because I'm playing it on PC, or is it because I'm playing it on PC and it's installed on an SSD? Like, or is it all of the above?
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a combination and it makes me amazed I joke about it because as somebody who works with PCs and is very fond of PCs, when these games console comes out and they're like, we're going to have an SSD in them, it's kind of a meme because it's like,
well, no,
fuck
yes,
that
yes and no.
It's a meme for me because I'm like, that technology's been there for ages. But on the other hand, it's going to make a fucking massive difference to console gaming. It's going to make such a big difference just having SSDs.
I think one thing to put out there that I since you brought it up that is confusing about the SSD next console thing. It's not just they're going to have SSDs in the consoles like you can have in computers now and stuff, because you could plug an SSD into your PS4 now if you wanted to. The thing that is really important about that change in the next when we go to next gen is it'll change games for everything, including PC, because it's going to change the way that everyone is making their games.
Yes,
and they
correct.
talked about it in the last Wired article, and basically they said that like from now, like developers will be able to develop games differently, where basically beforehand they would have to copy paste certain elements and code or whatever at different points throughout like sections, because they needed to be able to find that data quicker and whatever else. But now they're only with SSD they'll be able to design games so it's like they'll just have it on there once and they'll be able to save room, and like that means there's all of a sudden more resources available for developing games and all this sort of thing. And this affects PC gaming as well, because a lot of times obviously stuff are just ports and they're made for console first and whatever else. So it's not just games will load faster, it means games will be developed with SSDs in mind first and foremost, because that's now how everyone will be playing, and that's going to change how games are made. But obviously, loading faster is good, because as Ash is over here, like, game takes forever to load. I'm like, motherfucker, I was zipping around space. Like, I think the reason I beat the game so fast is because you spent probably half an hour to an hour in load screens and I didn't.
Potentially, yeah, that could have been the difference.
Could
have been finished before last episode. But what are you going to do?
Doesn't matter now. Anyway, Outer Worlds. Good game.
We're going to talk about it next week?
Maybe. I don't know. I'll drop some DLC.
Is this a game that you both will think you will go back for DLC? I think with
DLC?
RPGs, it's one of the monikers if it's good enough that if they drop a DLC, would you go back to it to play it?
Yes.
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 Would it be included in Game Pass? I don't know. That'd be.
Yes.
I would believe so.
presume so.
I would definitely believe so. Yeah.
If I still got a Game Pass, then yes.
Okay.
I mean, as long as there's a story reason, it's not just like, hey, we're chucked in. There's a battle royale mode.
So
I don't see Obsidian doing battle royale mode, but I definitely see Obsidian doing story DLC.
it's hard to theorize without spoilers for the end of the game, but I have ideas about stuff, but I can't say about spoilers. Because, obviously, it's like you said it either before the end of the game, which I don't think makes any sense. What you could be like, you could just do the Fallout thing and be like, oh, here's suddenly another thing that you could go do. But I'm like, it would be more there's more interesting stuff to explore that's post the end of the game that I feel like they could do. That's not that's semi-exploring what happens post the ending, but also it's not big enough that it's like destroying the possibility of like, well, that could just be a sequel kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you could explore other stuff that's happening. Because I feel like once you get to the end of the game, I feel like what the sequel would be about is I felt like it was pretty obvious to me what the sequel would possibly be about, but once again, spoilers.
What do you think this game and its reception so far does as an impact for Obsidian becoming a first-party studio of Microsoft?
The big question is who owns the IP of the Outer Worlds? Do they own it, or does
Obsidian?
Do they though? Is that
I would think
confirmed?
Obsidian owns it.
Like, do they have it, or does what the fuck have it?
Private Division?
Private Division.
I would say the deal that they struck would be Obsidian.
That's important. That is the important
Obsidian-
question, though. That is an important question.
Yeah, it is. But I don't think Obsidian would put this game out knowing that they've got Microsoft coming if they didn't have the IP.
But this was well into production, approaching
Correct.
like the end of its production before Microsoft was brought by Obsidian was brought by Microsoft. So, and the game, by the way, the Outer Worlds, the reason that I think it's like so fast and quick, which I also want to say, I love how short this game is. Like, if I can wrap up an RPG in 20 hours, less if I rushed it, but I can wrap up an RPG and feel like I've done like all of the side quests, all the companion quests in like 20 hours. I'm like, that is great. More of that, please. As much as I don't mind like 100-hour RPGs like every now and then, but I'm like, being able to just 20 hours, oh, that was good. It felt good. Like, I don't need every RPG to be massive and huge and whatever else. But I think half the reason that was done is because this game was done on like such a small budget, and it has 0 bugs compared to other games that have done all these massive things. It's ridiculous. Come on now, do your shit. Yeah, I don't know who has anything, but it's like it would make sense. This game has been very successful, I'd say, reviews and sales wise, and reception from the general public. So obviously, I feel like they've literally just invented a whole new world, a whole new bunch of lore, characters, whatever else. Like, and the part that you play in the Outer World is the Helicon or whatever they call it. Helicon? Yeah, whatever.
Helicon.
Yeah, Helicon. Like this, It's a very small sector of planets, like a certain area. It's basically like a galaxy, one galaxy, I guess, that you're kind of exploring, a bunch of different planets that are within it, and you can never escape that. You can't explore outside that. But then they introduce the idea of like, what's happening everywhere else, that kind of thing. So it's like they've got all this lore and whatever else that they could explore in sequels. So it feels silly if they don't have the ability to do a sequel. And obviously, if they do a sequel, it would be a Xbox exclusive. But it's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess, on this one now.
As far as I can tell, Obsidian owns the IP. So
then, I expect Microsoft to definitely fund a sequel for this ASAP. They're like, go make it now. Go make it now. Go make it now. Let's jump into BlizzCon, of course. BlizzCon 2019 happened. Now, I do want to talk about the reveals and stuff, obviously, but I think jump into the big thing, the big elephant in the room, that much like they did in their opening ceremony, which was, of course, the Hong Kong. Well, they addressed it. I wouldn't say they apologized for it, which a lot of articles.
Did they even address it? They kind of like.
I would say they addressed it because they at least brought it up. I'd say that's addressing.
They brought it up,
did
but
they
like
though?
they didn't like directly bring up what it was about. They were just kind of like, hey, you guys know we fucked up recently.
But like, what word do you want me to use? They brought it up on their own terms. Do I think they actually did a good job of it and apologized for it? No. But they did actually bring it up on their own. They brought it up themselves. That was like step one. But then
what they said was Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment a month ago, and we did not. We moved too quickly in our decision making, and to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk to all of you about it. So they didn't specifically say what the actual thing was.
Okay.
Which they should have. They should have said, hey, if you don't know, we banned this player because of they said some political statements that were against our policy. We acted too harshly. We are sorry, and we have removed all the punishments that we implemented. None of which they did.
Well, so the continuing thing he said was, we will do better going forward, but our actions are going to make... Our actions are going to matter more than any of those words. As you walk around this weekend, I hope it's clear how committed we are to everyone's right to express themselves in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places. I've actually seen and heard many of you expressing yourselves this morning, which was a hint towards the protests that were happening outside the building. In this article I'm looking at for this from Eurogamer, they've got some tweets embedded here, including one from someone that says, someone did it, and there's someone dressed up as Winnie the Pooh in the crowd at
What's Winnie the Poohs?
Yeah. So there's some Hong Kong funnies happening there, and then people outside and stuff like this. So I would say that they failed horribly at addressing the situation at all. They had one chance and they fumbled it, and to be honest, I'm going to say that it doesn't really matter because they then announced a whole heap of games and stuff, and then that very quickly just became the conversation piece for the rest of the weekend. So it really they proved it doesn't matter because no one cared anymore.
Yeah, it's the same tactic every company's done for the last forever. How do you feel about THQ Nordic, Dylan?
They're still shithouse.
Does anybody else remember? Do you remember, Ciaran, why Dylan is upset about THQ Nordic?
Not at all, actually.
I said everyone would forget, but this is my problem, and that was another thing I was going to bring up with this, because a lot of times I struggle because I'm like, okay, I want to get on here on our podcast and I want to be able to cover games, write news pieces and review stuff and whatever else. And I definitely want to be able to kind of separate and be critical of stuff, but then also be able to discuss reveals and stuff and be like, okay, so the publisher was shit, but the developer's making something, try and draw a line there. But then it's how do you go about tackling that in a way that I think makes sense? And that's why I purposely for this show, okay, I want to talk about this thing up front because I think it's the most important, instead of being let's talk about Overwatch 2, that's the coolest thing ever, and then we'll put this at the end because whatever to cover our tracks. I'm put this up front because I want to talk about this first because I think it's the most important fact, and then kind of get out of the way that get my thoughts out there and be I think Blizzard fucked up, and then we can talk about the reveals and stuff more from a because it's it is a gaming podcast. I'm not going to get on here and be I'm on strike, let's not talk about the games, because it's have you seen that Reddit thing going around of the dude who deleted his account but now wants it back? That is the ultimate meme.
Yes,
it's fucking hilarious.
That was my thing. That was the only thing that I thought. The thing that disappointed me the most about this attempted apology wasn't just the way that the CEO, and you know what, I'll give credit to them. They, in their own, way, they did it. And obviously there was publicists involved.
They didn't say it. They didn't even use the word sorry.
They didn't do anything, but it was you could tell it was very clinical and very prepared by a PR person.
Yes.
It was prepared, and sadly, in today's world, you kind of just have to do that, and it sucks, and it's terrible. What I felt was really bad was the moment he finished talking was the cheers and the applause and everything.
Good job, Blizzard. You addressed it.
You vaguely apologized for something.
It's oh, guys, I know you're the Blizzard faithful, but that wasn't something to cheer for. That was just really... just not good enough. Yeah. Hold people accountable.
There's I find it because it's it depends where you go and put your stick in the sand. So for example, that dude that that the people attending BlizzCon, most of them, apart from the people dressing up in Winnie the Pooh outfits and shit, I would say most of them give zero shits about this, and they just want to go there and hear
Correct.
about the games, right? Some people, like the person dressing up as Winnie the Pooh, the person that was interrupting their Q&A, the kid that was actually at that football, the baseball game or whatever it was, turned up there too, like saying free Hong Kong, and the dude's like trying to interview, like he's got the mic to someone else, like about to ask a question, and this kid's in the background like free Hong Kong, and the interview on his part, I'll say, handled it very well, because he like stops the mic on this other dude, walks over to the kid and is like, do you got something to say? And the kid's like, free Hong Kong, revolution of our times, or something like that. And then the interviewer dude's like, yep, that sounds very good to me. And then he goes back to the other dude. I'm like, that's so awkward to watch, but at the same time, like that interviewer handled it so well, because he's like, this dude's yelling, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to let him say his shit, and then I'm going to get on with it. And I like how, like, even when he says, he's like, free Hong Kong? Yep, that sounds good to me. And he walks away. He's not like, yeah, fuck you, like, kind of thing. Like, I'm like, for his part, that dude with the mic did very good, I think, for what he got there. But yeah, it's like, for the most part, people here are obviously give zero shits about this. They're attending BlizzCon. The thing with that dude on Reddit that I find so hilarious is he's like, fuck yeah, fuck you, Blizzard, deleting my account. And then like a week later, he's like, I wanted my account back. I'm like, well, draw your line in the sand somewhere where you're willing to kind of commit to it. I never get on these shows and I'm like, I'm never buying Blizzard products again. No, I'm on here. I'm just talking about the news stories and being critical, because it's like, I know that if I ever got on here and I'm like, I'm never playing a THQ game again or a Blizzard game, and then I would be suddenly playing one, I'd be hyper, it would be ridiculous.
I mean, we would give you non-stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit,
so it's like, it's like, draw your line where you know, like you can
choose which hill you're going to die on.
Yeah.
Choose your hill you're going to die on.
To be fair, how was he to know they were going to have awesome Halloween events?
It's not like they do it every fucking year.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Not his fault he didn't look at the calendar.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, legit question though. So when it comes to like people on podcasts like ourselves, or, whatever, writing about games, stuff, whatever. When it comes to covering shit like this and THQ Nordic and stuff, it's like, Ash, in your opinion, how do you go about doing it correctly, do you think? And are we doing it correctly?
I think so. We just have to admit that, unfortunately, the people who make these kind of decisions and these mistakes are often completely separate to the developers and the people who are working on these games that are getting announced. So as much as they're all Blizzard, it's not everybody in Blizzard who is responsible for everything that people are upset about.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't throw a blanket across everybody.
No.
It was like, I was really saddened by having to read a Reddit post from a Blizzard employee that was like, hey, or I don't even think it was a Blizzard employee. I think it was somebody who was like helping at the event that was like, hey, just because I'm working for Blizzard, or just because
don't harass me, please.
Here doesn't mean that I agree with some of the choices that Blizzard has made recently. And please don't harass me or start giving me any kind of grief for it. And that really saddens me that people can't, that people can't disconnect what a company does for its employees.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really harsh. And I think the Blizzard employees showed very well what they thought of the whole situation with the banning and the political speech. I don't know if everybody read this, but like the Blizzard employees covered up at
their workplace.
At their workplace, they have a fountain that has inscriptions, and there was one of the inscriptions on it is one of the, like, they have their values, all around it, and one of their values is like be inclusive or whatever, and like the Blizzard employees covered that up because they didn't believe that they were achieving that anymore because of this. So, I think as long as with any company like this, as long as you can, or any organization, any media outlet that is open and honest about their viewpoint and their stance on what they believe in this, if they take a stance on it, stick with your stance, but still give them an opportunity to allow, give their games an opportunity still. Don't just throw their games to the side because of choices that corporate people
found
make.
Interesting, because this is honestly something I always struggle with at Explosion Network when all this stuff happens, because it's, like I'll get on Arcade Couch and I'll be like, for the THQ thing, for example, I'm like, fucking, I hated, since you forgot, it was they chucked an AMA on 4chan, did a AMA on 4chan.
I didn't even hear about this. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like this massive, and I was like, well, this, I don't know how. But anyway, so yeah, that was a...
I'm trying to remember if it was on the episode or not.
No, I think it was just the two of us.
Okay.
So that was the thing that happened, and I thought it was ridiculous, and we spent some time talking about that. But then it's always like, okay, so I think this was a fucked up decision that THQ Nordic made, and I still think it was a fucked up decision. And I said on that episode that I'm like, everyone should still pay attention to what they do in the future in case they do this stupid shit again, because it's like if they do it once, fool me, do it twice, you should hold, all of a sudden you should be holding the figurative like THQ to the fire, kind of like hold them to the coals for a bit and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But then it's like I'm really pumped for games like Biomutant and stuff. And it was always like kind of conflicting, especially because then E3 happens and I'm like trying to cover the games and stuff. I'm like, well, I was just talking shit about them, but it's like, well, the developers aren't THQ Nordic. You know what I mean? Like it's always like something I have very conflicting. I'm like, do I cover them? Yes. Because I want Explosion Network to be a good games website. So I can't not cover them. You know what I mean? But I'm like always trying to do what I think is the right thing. And I think it's often hard to juggle, like, covering the industry, I guess, side of stuff, and then also just the more like the games. Oh, they're good, they're bad, like, because kind of try to do a bit of all of it. So it's always confusing. I want to check out that. I saw Alana Pierce, for example, when BlizzCon was on. She tweeted out, I don't have a tweet open, but something along the lines of that she won't be talking about or wasn't going to be covering the or talking about any of the BlizzCon announcements because of the Hong Kong stuff, and that was like the stance she was taking. And I found it interesting. I looked at the replies, and people were like, well, this is stupid, like blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, if that's her decision, that's her decision, as long as she sticks to it. You know what I mean? I think this is what it comes down to. I'm like, if you want to go to that level and be like, I'm not covering this out of my, like, this is the stance I'm taking, I'm not
Personal
talking about
choice,
it, then you stick to it, I guess, is the thing it comes down to. I'm not on here saying that none of us is something ban all Blizzard games are all shit, but it's like we're discussing. I draw my level at, we're going to critique and discuss, but I never get on here and say, I'm never playing that company's games again, kind of thing. I never make sure I never go that far because I don't want to look like a fucking idiot. Which I would look like a fool if I ever said, I love Biomutant at PAX, it was great. Like, THQ, please come save me. So the other interesting thing here, the Blizzard, like to tie in about how like the developers separate, of course, to the company and how different people are happy and unhappy and so on and so forth. Kotaku, Hearthstone developers wish Blizzard had handled the Hong Kong controversy differently. Nearly a month after Hearthstone pro Chung Blitzchung Nungwai was suspended for his vocal support of Hong Kong protesters during a Blizzard-hosted competitive Hearthstone stream. The ensuing controversy still looms heavy over Blizzard's every move. Protesters gathered outside BlizzCon over the weekend were largely met with the support from convention attendees. The situation has left Hearthstone's developers in a tight spot. During an interview at BlizzCon, Hearthstone game director Ben Lee and creative director Ben Thompson admitted that they wish Blizzard execs had handled the Hong Kong powder keg with more care, saying, quote, the initial decision was too harsh. Absolutely. Definitely should have taken more time to consider something more reasonable, but we can't take that back. We saw it less as associated with our game and more as associated with our company. We all feel very tied to Blizzard as a whole. We're not so siled off in our own teams that we felt like, oh, this is Hearthstone problem. The reality is that it's something that happened at a Blizzard level, and as a result, we wanted to know how Blizzard was going to react to it and what Blizzard was going to do going forward. It's something that, as he continued, Thompson broadened the point to include the wider situation in Hong Kong in general, saying it's something that is, to be fair and honest, bigger than the gaming company. It's bigger than the games. It's bigger than our game. It's something that's dealt with on a global sociological level. So yeah, I found it interesting that they, like, as the director of Hearthstone, and literally the game that caused the whole issue in the first place. Well, the game didn't cause the issue, but the game at the center of the issue.
The esports.
The what caused it, I was like at the front, and they're like, yeah, we're not happy about Blizzard's decision either. So yeah, like once again, tying it back to that fact that Ciaran was saying before, it's like Blizzard employees, including like literally the director of Hearthstone stuff, weren't happy about the decision, which really makes you just wonder. It's like, I really hope after all this that Blizzard is, because they can't fix this situation now. Like it is how it is.
Done. It's in the history.
It's in the history books. But what they can do is change their policies going forward, and you would hope that in the future these things would change. Like, because a lot of other companies were getting good press out of this. Like Magic the Gathering. I don't know if you saw that story. Someone on one of their streams did a Free Hong Kong protest type thing. I don't know what exactly they did. Held up a sign, something. I don't remember. But they did that on a stream, and Magic was like, or Wizards of the Coast was like, Yeah. Like, they didn't do shit. And then, of course, Wizards of the Coast got heaps of good press out of that because everyone's like, high five, fuck you, Blizzard. You know, like which is how it works whenever a company does literally the opposite of another company's done, and it gets hard to keep up with. But yeah, I would say keep your eye. The thing is, going forward, it's like, you don't have to hate Blizzard forever. I don't think that's what you have to do whenever companies make mistakes like this. You definitely have to talk about it and discuss it for the first several weeks as it's all happening, and you have to be very critical and loud of it, or else no change happens. But at some point, it is like, you not have to move on. You definitely have to like keep it in your brain hole, and then be like, if anything similar happens again, then it's like watching with a very keen eye. You know, like if something happened again, it'd be like, what are you doing, Blizzard? Like, you're gonna make the same mistake again? And if they did, then it's like, all right, well, everyone be louder than you were the first time and let them fucking know. You know, at that stage, it's like, yeah. All right, so let's get into the game reveals though. So, because there was game reveals at BlizzCon, not just protests.
Also, anybody, the one thing that frustrated me, anybody who somewhat even suggested that these game reveals were because of the Hong Kong thing and to earn good press and good PR, shut the fuck up.
No, they would have had this planned out way.
These would have happened either way, so just get over it.
These would have happened to make up for the bad press they got last year.
Yeah.
Let alone
last year happened and they were like, Diablo 4, you need to be coming.
Yeah,
you need to be next year. Like,
so IGN writes, Blizzard opens BlizzCon 2019 ceremony with not an announcement, but with Blizzard Entertainment's J. Allen Brack speaking in light of the recent controversy that has tacked the following of Blizzard's actions. But after a brief moment of solemn discussion, the company dove right into debuting some of its slate of new games and updates to existing ones. So here is every announcement. So firstly, Diablo 4 officially announced after previous rumors and leaks. And by the way, I just want to put the asterisks in because last week's episode, I said that me and Ash, I was like, we're not talking about the leaks, Ash, because like BlizzCon is literally happening as this episode drops. And luckily we didn't, because everything that was leaked came true. After previous rumors and leaks, Blizzard officially announced Diablo 4. The isometric action RPG will be coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and Blizzard unveiled the first free classes for the sequel, Barbarian, Sorceress, and Druid. The announcement came by way of a cinematic trailer for Diablo 4, and it goes for like 9 minutes or something. 9 minutes 20 is how long the trailer for. One big CGI fucking demon fest thing happening. Ciaran, what did you think of Diablo 4's reveal?
This looked like a really good mix of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3.
Yeah.
I think they both had their benefits. It looks like Blizzard's learned from that. They've brought the two together. I love Diablo. I love how good Blizzard are at evenly spacing Diablos out and just putting it out. And it'll be a game I play for a couple months. Like, as long as they've learned the lessons from the diabolical beginning of Diablo 3 and they never do what they did there ever again, it's going to be good. It's going to be great fun. I think the Druid class looks like a really interesting addition to the classes that we normally have for Diablo games anyway. And I think Diablo has such a special place in the gaming community. Yes, there are other options like Diablo, like your Path of Exiles. Yeah, exactly. Or even if you want to go for that isometric style, even Ultimate Alliance and the Marvel games are like that.
Same sort of gameplay stuff.
Yeah, same sort of gameplay.
Just doesn't have the
style.
loot.
Yeah, correct. And I think there is something really fucking addictive about the loot to Diablo and the story, like the game hooks to that game, the gaming loop that you're always playing to get harder and harder and harder. You're not playing, once you finish it once, that's not your end point. Like, you're going to keep pushing to get better and better. And I'm really excited to play it again.
I'm semi-excited, but also I'm not like massive Diablo person. My first Diablo was 4.
Was 3.
Oh, 3 with the Reapers.
If you've already played Diablo 4,
you know,
that's fucking lucky.
Diablo 3 when it finally came out to PS4 with the Reaper of Abyss. That's what it was called, right?
Yeah, with the DLC. The Reaper.
That was the first Diablo game I ever played, and I did play it for I don't know, like probably 50, 60 hours with some friends back when it originally released. I played my fair chunk of it and had great time. I'd played those types of games before though, so I'd played Diablo likes, so it wasn't like mind blowing. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. So I would say watching the gameplay, I'm like, it looks better obviously than 3. Like the environments and stuff look more detailed and whatever else, and That's cool. I highly doubt this game will actually come out on PS4, and if it does, it'll look like shit. Probably.
It'll be a next gen. It'll be a next gen.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you announcing it for PS4? Like, just say it's coming to next gen consoles at this stage. Like, Ash, what do you think of this? Are you excited for Diablo, or do you like Diablo? What's your Diablo?
I'm indifferent on Diablo. I haven't played much. A bit of 3. I think I played a bit of 2. Yeah, it looks like Diablo. It obviously darker is the thing that they were going for. Apparently there was backlash about obviously 3 being a bit more colorful. But yeah, it looks like it'll be a good time. I like those kind of games, but I just, for whatever reason, never got into Diablo. So maybe this is the one.
I nearly got the platinum. I couldn't do the hardcore run because you fucking insta die. And I tried once and I died at like level 10. I got my character like level 10.
You have to really grind for it. You can't just, it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, that's an easy trophy just to do it. But then you're like, yeah, but you have to scale yourself all the way up there. You have to put the time and the effort to be good at it, especially running it solo. That's fucking ridiculous to do it solo. Yeah.
So I was like, no, fuck this platinum. Overwatch 2 confirmed. After some leaks suggested a new era of Blizzard's hero shooter was on the way, Jeff Kaplan officially confirmed Overwatch 2 as the next chapter in the popular franchise. A cinematic teaser offered a look at the setup for the sequel, and it's bunch of story shit I don't understand, which I'll ask Ciaran about in a moment. Overwatch 2 will exist in a shared multiplayer ecosystem with Overwatch 1, allowing for players of both games to play in the same maps and with the same heroes. Cosmetics will also carry forward to Overwatch 2. The sequel will introduce new maps and characters like Toronto and Sojourn, respectively, which will also introduce a new PvP competitive mode push and a new story-centric gameplay. So, Ciaran, I know you're off the drugs, but did you look at the drugs and how did you feel about the drug that is Overwatch?
Did you have to go to like a meeting? Just like, oh, this was
I
a
didn't
really
have to go to a
hard
meeting.
day.
Actually. It was good.
Really difficult. I was very tempted.
Look, despite how I feel about Overwatch as a game right now, and I don't play it or anything, nothing for me comes close to watching an Overwatch cinematic. Like Overwatch cinematics for me, I was in tears at the end of the cinematic they showed. Like it's just so wholesome and fucking great, and like it's just there's just something about it, and the fact that Overwatch 2 is enabling the game to continue to explore its lore and to bring more lore into the game is fucking amazing. Because the fact that it has some of the best characters in gaming, some of the best storytelling elements in gaming, and there's no story element in the game itself. Overwatch so far has been the story of Overwatch coming back together and starting again. And this cinematic was the first time Overwatch rejoined together in the lore or in the world. And it's just so fucking cool. Like, there was nothing more hype than Tracer flying through the air and Genji cutting through a fucking robot's hand halfway through. It was they don't have any right to be this good of a cinematic. Like, they don't have any fucking right for the cinematics for that game to be this good.
Blizzard do good cinematics. I don't know.
They do, and it's fucking annoying. It's like, you fucks, why are you... Like, I've recently rewatched all of the Overwatch cinematics again because they're just so good and they still give me chills. And look, I think they haven't dug themselves out of a hole yet. Overwatch in general is in a really weird spot right now. And the rumor is that Overwatch 2 is the reason Overwatch 1 is currently in a bad spot because the devs have kind of neglected Overwatch 1 to
and they admitted they admitted in an interview that they had been ignoring it because they'd been working on 2. So
yes, yeah. So it's interesting to see. I think Overwatch has such a strong basis for its esports scene. None of this stuff covered competitive whatsoever. So the competitive changes that come with this game, if they do come, are still a mystery, which I think a large part of the player base is like worried about because Overwatch is very stale right now. A lot of its professional players are very uneasy with how the state of Overwatch is right now. It's an interesting place. I think Overwatch 2 needs to come out before this Riot Project freaking Ares game comes out.
The first-person shooter thing.
Yeah, it's first-person shooter comes out. And I think they really need to start talking about it more and more. Like, not just have regular updates of, hey, this is what's going on with competitive. Hey, this is what, like, they have some really interesting things like leveling up your characters and showing talent trees for the characters. But does that mean that those talent trees are going to impact in the competitive play, or is that, because I'd really like the talent trees to impact competitive play. I think that'd be really interesting to see what builds are good for what characters in the competitive scene. So I'm really excited for Overwatch 2. It'll definitely pull me back in. It's just a matter of
there he
when
goes
it
again.
comes out. There he goes again. See you later, guys. Like, it just depends on when it comes, and like it feels like it's really far away though.
My as someone who obviously doesn't play, I was like, why would anyone care about Overwatch 2 that already has the game? Because from what I understand, the only reason to buy it is for the PvE shit.
Yep. Well, for the PvE stuff, they'll eventually bring everything together for the competitive stuff.
Yeah. So why does it matter? Why would you buy it?
To support the dev that you like, to play the PvE. I think the PvE is a big enough.
Don't you already pay like do microtransactions and everything already?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've
for loot boxes, if you want cosmetics and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've paid them enough money. You can skip.
I've already paid them enough money, but like,
how many times have you bought a copy of the game?
Only 3 times.
Yeah, I think you're good. You can skip 2.
No, I want to get 2. Like, for me, it's the PvE's worth paying for it again. I don't think it's a full price game. If it's a full price game,
it's going to be full price, they said.
I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, I don't get this. I've never understood why they. I understand when Overwatch came out, they charged money for it. I think at some stage they should have gave people who paid for it like a heap of in-game currency and just made it free to play or some shit. I've never understood why the game costs money, and I still don't.
The thing that's
because
always
it's Blizzard. People are still paying for World of Warcraft.
Well, no, but you can pay for a World of Warcraft in game though now.
Yeah. Every other game like Overwatch is free to play.
Yeah, I don't. I think I'm biased on
League
Overwatch,
of Legends.
You're
going to be like, oh, but they need the money. League of Legends is free, and that game makes billions of dollars.
No, the thing is, I don't think it needs the money, but I think there is something about it not being free to play that holds some kind of competitive integrity to it.
I should put game time into this because I paid.
Yeah, but that shits me off. It costs fucking 80, 60, however dollars it costs, and then they're like,
it only costs $30.
But then it's fucking loot boxes.
You don't have to buy the loot boxes.
It's like, just
don't
you can if you want to. You don't have to. You can earn the loot boxes through gameplay.
How many loot boxes have you bought?
Let's not go into that.
That's what I thought.
Let's get your credit card receipt.
Yeah, let's have a look at these receipts. All right, moving on. World of Warcraft Shadowlands and WoW Classic news.
Wait, can I get my opinion in?
Oh yeah, get your opinion. I thought you gave it with hot takes and it was just going to leave.
I think the reason for Overwatch, the reason people get Overwatch 2 is the graphical update. It looks like it made significant changes. I don't know. I haven't seen an Overwatch screen in a while, but it does look better.
They have.
Obviously, there is story reasons for people to get invested in Overwatch 2. I think it's smart for them to keep the multiplayer all together, just to keep that same player base, so you don't have day one, you can't find anybody to play a game with. Not that that's likely to be an issue. I don't think those skill tree things are going to be in competitive. I think that's purely.
I don't think they will be, but I think it would be really interesting if they were.
Yeah, I think it's
because,
purely
like,
for PvE
Overwatch,
stuff.
Not Overwatch. Like Dota 2 has skill trees in the game now. So.
It then defeats like the hero aspect though, because it's like every hero plays the same, and the second you can create custom builds for heroes, then they're like, there's so many different variations.
No, but then that just adds another element to.
Yeah, I know it would, but I just feel like it defeats like how based the game is, and in being a hero shooter. You know, because then it becomes very custom. Yeah. All of a sudden, everyone's Winston. I've got a tanky Winston. I've got a fucking hourglass
rogue Winston.
Yeah, I've got all these different.
No, but like they wouldn't
mage Winston.
It wouldn't change the playstyle of the character. It would just give it a variation where like Pulse Bomb for Tracer would have. Oh god, Pulse Bomb for Tracer. I like fat fingered my phone. It's like, I'll play a YouTube video now. But like, it would just give you an option of, say, you think that in the next match you're going to be going up against a lot of shields, so you can change your build so you have a shield oriented build and stuff. Would be interesting. Would just it'd be different.
So World of Warcraft, I don't know if anyone cares, but we'll quickly cover it since we'll do the whole thing.
Really.
Blizzard confirmed new World of Warcraft expansion Shadowlands with new cinematic trailer at BlizzCon 2019. The cinematic trailer goes for 5 minutes, and I randomly clicked on it and I'm like, don't understand what's happening, but it looks pretty. So in addition to cinematic reveal that teases the story to come, Blizzard also unveiled gameplay of the Shadowlands expansion, offering an overview of the features to come. I've got some gameplay here, and then World of Warcraft Classic is confirmed to be getting world bosses and PvP. So if you care about World of Warcraft, have fun. Hearthstone announcements. Blizzard confirmed several new things for its Hearthstone community. The first is the Descent of Dragons expansion, which launches on December 10th. There's a trailer for that. That's only a minute 30. It's a lot shorter. Blizzard also announced Hearthstone Battlegrounds, an 8-player auto mode
chess
that features
nobody
24
else
heroes.
has done that yet.
Yeah, so
Don't say this is going to be Heroes of the Storm all over again. Come on, you guys.
So this is the Hearthstone stuff. None of us. Well, Ciaran plays Hearthstone the game still a bit. Don't you? Do you jump on every now and then? Yeah, I haven't.
I haven't played in a while.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say I haven't touched it in years, so this doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, same.
But the auto battler, I would say that Ash is probably going to check out, and I'll check out as well because we've checked out literally every other auto battler that's dropped so far. I think, unless we've missed one. So yeah, are you keen for a?
Did you guys really play Underlords? Really?
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played like 1 or 2 rounds.
Impressed.
Yeah, I played that first, and then the League of Legends one was the best one, so that's one I stuck to. Ash, are you excited for this one? It's true though. Are you excited for this one? The Hearthstone one?
I mean, I don't understand. Is it you just put a deck out and then they auto play the game? Is that the concept?
No, because like it's the same. It's auto chess. Like it's like you would.
Okay, now it's clicking. Because obviously the style of the thing, it looks like
they've just named it differently.
Yeah. Okay.
They've just named it differently to make themselves stand out.
I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, obviously with that Hearthstone aesthetic, that's pretty cool. So
Blizzard never do well at copying other people's shit, though. Like, other than Hearthstone is probably the exception. They tried with Heroes of the Storm, and they came out too late with Heroes, so it never made an impact.
Overwatch a copy of that Battleborn game, though?
Got him.
See, and now you're even copying it anymore because Battleborn had like PvE in it at the start, so...
So I will try out the Hearthstone one, but I gotta say I don't think it just doesn't look as interesting because it from a visual aspect, as you can see if you check out the trailer, it just looks like Hearthstone.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah, it's Hearthstone, but they're like, no, it's an auto battler. Yeah, but we just made it look like the normal game. I'm like, well, that's not very exciting. Like League of Legends, the part where you're like drafting your characters or whatever, you're hopping around this little screen, the items are floating around, whatever else, and then when you go to the chess part or whatever, like you drag out a bunch of characters, and it obviously looks completely different to the actual fucking game. Dota Underlords, exactly the same. It looks very different to, like it's an actual chessboard that you're playing on, and the original one, auto chess itself, obviously looks like a proper chessboard and these sorts of things. This one, I'm just like, I understand you're probably trying to do something different to stand out, but I'm like, just visually, it looks boring because I just look like I'm playing fucking Hearthstone, not a game based on Hearthstone. But that's like, I guess if they drag the characters out, then they're like, well, we'll just make a World of Warcraft auto battler, not a Hearthstone auto battler at that point because they're World of Warcraft characters. So then it becomes very confusing about what you call it, I guess, Because it's like the World of Warcraft's in cards, but if you take them out of the cards, is it still Hearthstone? No, it's World of Warcraft. I don't know.
I mean, I guess positioning will be important, like whether it's you'll attack.
There would be stuff like what plays what. It reminds me more of the failure that was Artifact rather than Auto Chess. Artifact was very similar to what they do here, so yeah.
I'll try it because it's free, and I feel obligated because I've tried literally all of these games at this point, and I spent like a good week being addicted to fucking League of Legends one. What is it called? The League one.
Teamfight Tactics.
Heroes
Teamfight Tactics. I got to the point where I was getting into bed every night and just watching Twitch streams of people playing it as well. So I was like, "Fuck, I'm hooked on this at the moment," and that lasted for a week or so. So obligated to try it. Sure. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch.
Oh,
What do you mean? Oh, what do you want it? You want it to keep
oh,
going?
it's over
only 90 minutes.
already.
Fuck, we should go for 3 hours more.
Oh.
Thank you for joining us on the couch this week. Make sure you check out explosionnetwork.com for all our shows, reviews, news, and articles, of course. You can review Arcade Couch on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, or simply share the episode on social media to help us out and tag us, and we'll give you a big old heart button. You can follow Explosion Network on Twitter at ExplosionPod. You can check out our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, Vivaladil. You can follow Ciaran on Twitter at Boy Ringo. You can follow Ash on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHBLEY. That smug face over there. And we'll see you here next week. Same time, same couch.